Hello and welcome to Bunk Book, the Bunk original, where you get to know the podcaster behind your favorite shows. My name is Neil, and tonight's my name is Neil, and tonight's guest is a foodie, self-care enthusiast, and an advocate for mental health and financial literacy. Please welcome Ram. Hi, Ram.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening kung nasan man kayo. Maraming salamat for inviting me here. Kumusta?
That's so thoughtful of you na kung anong oras man nila to pinapanood, may greeting ka.
Pasok tayo doon.
Okay, so Ram, welcome to Bunk Book. As you may already know, you are the host of Millennial Mindshift podcast.
Ay,
Can
ako
you
ba?
let our viewer hindi ka sure? Can you let our viewers know what your show is about?
Oh, hello, hello. So, my Millennial Mindshift podcast talks about the things that I think that millennials know about adulting. We will I cover mental health, financial literacy, self-care,
Mm,
which are very important to our age group at this moment na napaka-busy natin that sometimes you don't find time to identify those things or to address those things para sa sarili natin.
that's true. It's something na hindi mo masyadong pinapansin until until it's too late. And so it's important for you to take care of yourself that way. So it's great that we have resources like Millennial Mindshift for that. Now, I'm gonna ask you the same question, but this time explain it to me like I'm five. So Tito Ram, what is a millennial and what is their mind shift about?
So, if you listen to my show, I will tell you the things that you need to know once you're no longer asking the help of your parents. I think generally that would be that money, mental health, and how you would take care of yourself on your own. That's how the show goes.
Sige, let's take care of the child muna. Wag muna natin siyang takutin na
Takutin.
scary ang pagiging adult. So, can you let us know maybe how your show got started? What was the trigger for you to start recording?
Yung start kasi nito, it's very personal. I mean, it's not
Mm,
something like I just randomly thought because it started, I think, 2021 because I struggled a lot with mental health stresses
mm,
for in late 2021 with work, and then it was, I think, almost the I think it's still the peak of pandemic,
mm.
right? And then like yun yung time na parang literally I just want to retire at my age 20. I think I'm 27, 28 that time because like gusto kong mag-retire pero wala akong pera. Tapos I'm so stressed, ayoko na mag-work pero wala akong the bills are stronger. Yun
Totoo
yung
yan.
ano. So that was the dilemma that time, I think late in 2021. And it really affects not only my mental health, but my physical health as well. And then for me, kasi di ba, just to introduce myself as well, I'm an OFW. So
Mm,
wala ako dun sa comfort zone like sa Pinas na you're with your family, with your really, really close friends ever since. So here, I have friends, but I also still have to look or to take care of myself. So I resorted into listening to podcasts, reading books
mm.
about mental health, and that's how dun feeling ko nag-start yung interest ko and na-equip ako with some knowledge na I want to share. And yung mga sinasabi ko naman dun sa show is I think those are the thoughts na hindi ko pwedeng, I think parang hindi ko masabi directly with anyone. Like I can't just suddenly go to the office and say like this is how things should be done. This is how it should be the like to take care of my mental health for the at work. Baka masisante ako. So I resorted into organizing the thoughts of like on how like the adulting stuffs that I know and that I'm struggling with and turn them into a podcast, into a something that a more digestible thing.
So it's almost like you knew it was something you needed and
Yes.
you decided to help other people by sharing with them what you found out about these topics.
Yes, yes. Parang ang ano ko is ang lagi kong sinasabi is parang ako yung naging target market nung show ko.
That makes sense. Actually, it makes sense because when you're into something, 'di ba? You really do your research. So at
Yes.
least nakaka-outlet ka pa in the process.
Yes.
Now, you cover very serious topics like mental health, personal finance, passion, self-care, and adulting. Why do you think these are important, especially for the people who listen to podcasts? Why do you think this is important?
Kasi for me, the reason why I think these are very relevant topics because at this age, like napaka-busy natin, we're always on the go, we're
Mm,
24/7 online, that sometimes we think that we're always available for other people. But I think sometimes we miss out that we need to be available for ourselves.
mm,
Self-care, I think for that one. Especially sa nangyari yung pandemic, 'di ba? Na kailangan talaga nating mag-step back and to look after ourselves and to address these matters. I think yun yung reason kung bakit parang sabi ko importante talaga ito. And sometimes these topics are a bit stigmatized as well.
true,
That's why
true.
I think sabi ko na parang mas kailangan silang mapag-usapan and something na I want to do.
Mm. I think especially in 2023 when we're recording this, we've gone a long way in this conversation. We can talk about it freely versus like 10, 15, 20 years ago where it was still hard. But for anyone who's gone through it personally, you also know na kahit na mas open na yung mundo to talking about these serious things, it's still not easy to open up. So that's why shows like yours are very important, I think, because it allows the parang normalization of conversations like this.
Yes.
Is that what you set out to do when you first hit record?
Yes, parang sabi ko is it's something na parang should be part of a regular conversation. They should not be discussed behind the main topics. I mean, at this age, I mean like for millennials at our age, hindi na tayong teens for sure
Mm,
for millennials. And most of our age group are working in a workforce now. So I think
mm,
for us, it should not be just something that we just address once kailangan na siyang i-address or it's becoming a concern. That's why it
mm.
is something that I want to talk to. And then when I recorded the first episode of this, may pinagdadaanan na naman tayo.
Good job reliving trauma, 'di
Yeah,
ba?
so ano siya parang the pattern of the podcast goes with the ups and downs of my life as well, with the struggles,
Mm,
with the stresses, and then somehow I figure out na ito yung mga things na pinaglalaban ko.
mm.
Why not talk about them? I mean, I'm not saying na I impose them with anyone, but they're just my thoughts. Maybe it would be a matter of like if someone would hear, they would understand the reason bakit iba yung pananaw ko sa isang bagay over the way they see things. That's
Mm.
how also the reason why I decided to do that podcast.
And I think that really lends credibility to the topic. Kasi it's like, why would I trust a skinny chef, diba? Why I would need somebody who's gone through these themselves, figured out the way to do it. And I think that's an important component and on why your show is so good. Now, in terms of maybe the moments that you've had since 2021, what are your most memorable moments in Millennial Mindshift?
Siguro yung memorable sa akin yung may magsasabi na napakinggan nila and then like may na ano sila, may na-grasp silang like idea or concept. I think for me that matters a lot
Mm.
because I mean, pag sinabi kasi na parang napakinggan ko, yes, plus point yun. Pero pag yung may natutunan sila,
Mm,
iba siya, iba yung feeling niya kasi I mean like the reason why I started the podcast, it's more of like an advocacy, 'di ba?
mm,
Parang lagi ko siyang tinignan na parang hindi siya entertaining, but it's something like an advocacy.
mm.
That's why whenever I hear someone na tas may mga tas parang may mga nagme-message na nga sa akin na parang like they ask some questions about it. Like sabi
Hmm.
ko, charge ko na kayo ng ng professional fee. Parang sabi ko, therapy yan.
Sobra na.
Parang sabi ko, pero when they sabi nila na they hear me talking about this matter in the podcast, and then they had the courage to approach and ask me. I'm not a licensed psychologist or what, but
Mm.
I'm they know that I'm willing to listen and lend my ears to their concerns, and just even hindi ako makapagbigay ng something like an advice, pero yung makikinig, I feel so good about that. And the podcast became an avenue for that, to reach those people, na to introduce me that this is the way I value, and then they
Mm.
see that they can reach out to me about that. That really really a big ano sa akin, plus point siya sa akin in doing this podcast.
Oh. And usually the first listeners kasi nung show mo will be your family members, your friends, right? What would be, I guess, your most parang memorable thing that they said about it? So you mentioned na some people said this, some people said that. Ano yung pinaka hindi mo makakalimutan na sinabi about your show?
Siguro yung ano, parang listening to my show made them realize gaano ka-importante ang self-care and boundaries.
Oh.
Which is like, for me, those are the ones that I really champion.
Mm.
That's why hearing those, and it gave them the courage to set boundaries para sa sarili nila with the things that they can tolerate and not. I think that really really helped, because like for me, I fulfilled something on my list, on my bucket list, or
Correct.
on the purpose of the podcast. Yon.
Mm. Well, that's great. And I think na um setting boundaries is something that it's easy to say that you have to do it, and it's quite different to actually get the
Yes.
chance to do it. So it's good that you're championing that. Now, you've covered many topics like this in your show. What is one topic na hindi mo pa cover but you would like to?
Siguro ano, I think na-mention ko to sa'yo before, it's the becoming a millennial OFW. Kasi like
Mm.
ako, OFW ako. Kasi like, I think somehow we still have an image that being an OFW is like a so nice, so parang it's so parang wow, they're out of Philippines, good life, masaya agad. But there's
Ahon
also something,
agad.
yes, parang ahon agad, tapos parang parang isipin mo maganda yung buhay dito sa ganitong country, which is like, oh, parang sana all. Pero there's always something na may iti-trade back ka for that somehow benefit or for that opportunity. And those are the topics na gusto kong i-cover soon. Because I think it's very relevant, especially nowadays na mas madami ng OFW na millennials. I mean, our age group is entering, as we enter the workforce, hindi na lang tayo ngayon nakabase sa Philippines, and everyone is aiming to be global. Yon. Kaya
Mm.
yun yung gusto ko. Kasi parang mahirap siya.
Totoo,
Mahirap
totoo.
siya when I started during like 2018. Mahirap siya kasi like, ikaw na bahala sa sarili mo. Hindi ka na pwedeng umuwi sa magulang mo that time if it didn't work. Like you have, let's say you have a contract of 2 years, kahit ayaw mo na, you have to finish it.
Mm.
'Di ba? Yung parang
Hindi
gano'n na
pwede
hindi ka
mag-resign lang, 'di ba?
resign lang. Tapos kung may
Mm.
sakit ka, syempre hindi ko naman din lahat maaasahan yung mga tao sa paligid mo, even if you have friends, because you also have to acknowledge that they also have a separate life. They went here to work as well, and they also have to take care of themselves. So you have to take care of yourself too. Hindi mo pwedeng puro asa din sa iba when you're
Totoo.
becoming on your own and not in your comfort zone. I think that's one of the topics na gusto kong i-cover soon.
Lalo tayong mga Pinoy, we're very sociable, we build communities, 'di ba?
Yes.
And so for you to
Yes.
finally be alone and not have anyone to rely on, I'm sure that that was a very scary time for you. So
Yes.
yeah, I would love to hear about that. It's not something that's covered anywhere else. Ang mostly ang kino-cover ng OFW struggle was like 90s, yung mga Lea Salonga, Aga Mulak
Mhm.
movies, 'di ba? But nothing on
Yes.
what it's like right now.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry, I got carried away. Now, if
Correct.
I were to listen to Millennial Mindshift podcast right now, what can I expect to hear?
You'll expect to hear topics, yun nga, na that I champion.
Mm.
Like and wide range of topics na very relevant sa age group natin. Like
Mm,
we'll talk about money, not only just about money itself, but also on how we can manage it. Because of course, madaming broke millennials. Let's admit that.
aray, busi-busi na naman. Wait lang, ah.
I mean, kasi na-try ko din 'yon,
Hmm,
na-experience ko din 'yon. So parang ano siya, isa siya sa topic na hindi parang ano na parang darating ka sa wake up, parang may wake up call na hindi na ano na parang hindi na puwedeng puro ganito na lang din. So parang 'yun yung mga topics na ano ko dun, na parang you will hear me talking about self-care,
hmm,
you'll hear me talk about mental health, passion, productivity. 'Yun yung mga topics na parang they're not the usual things that you talk outside, but
hmm,
I want them to talk like very like on a very casual setup, very
hmm.
daldalan setup. Not on a seminar, not on not on a
Hindi ano,
seminar while you're wearing your
preachy.
corporate, yes, not while you're not wearing your corporate attire.
Correct. Dapat yung casual lang like, "Bakit malungkot ang
Oo.
beshi ko?" Ganyan. Tapos mga gano'n-gano'n ka.
Tumbling-tumbling ka lang
Oo.
dun.
Ayan, I think that's the treatment for your next episodes.
Hmm.
Tumbling-tumbling
Nakabaliktad
self-care.
siya.
Correct, correct. Okay. We actually we compiled some tweets about we usually compile yung mga tweets, mga reviews about your show, but since your show is relatively new, ang nahanap ko lang is about your guesting at Anyong Tita. So what I'm gonna do is I'll read some of the feedback to you, and I want to know what you hear. I want to hear what you think about them. So the first one is from Ivy, and this is on Twitter. She said, "My happy pill heart emoji 3 times. Listening for more than 1 hour na chikahan pero nakakabitin pa rin. Excited for part 2 on Thursday. Amazing po ng co-host. Memorize ang names ng almost lahat ng characters ng Under the Queen's Umbrella." What can you say about this?
Thank you, Ivy, for this nakakatuwang feedback. I think for this one, natutuwa ako sa mga ganitong feedback kasi like, eto yung ano eh, very spontaneous daldalan. That's why, umaabot lagi ng part 2 kahit na hindi naman talaga nakaplanong mag 2 part na minsan umabot ng 3 part. Sabi ko, ano, Lord of the Rings yan.
Totoo. I think yung sa Maria
Yun.
Clara na yata yung umabot kayo ng part 3, tama ba?
I think, oo. Hindi ko na mabilang kasi every time na nag-a-appear ako do'n lagi kaming ano, hindi walang single episode, lagi kaming ano, lagi kaming multiple. Kasi very walang script pero ang daldal.
Hmm,
Pero ayan, masaya ako na 'pag naririnig nila 'yon kasi like kasi nga, whenever I was invited to do some appearance on that podcast with Anyong Tita, ang naggo-go talaga ako kapag alam ko yung topic, alam ko yung show, alam ko yung series na pag-uusapan. Hindi ako yung like, ta's papanoorin ko pa lang yung series na pag-uusapan. Kasi
mahirap
ayoko may
yan.
gusto ko yung natural. Eh, halos lahat ng mga 'pag na ano ako, parang na-i-invite ako is yung series talaga na pinanood ko. Kaya yung sabi ni Ivy na amazing na name-memorize ko kasi like I really immerse myself whenever I
Oh,
watch a series.
wow.
Like it feels like the names and their names are in Korean, like the historical the traditional Korean names, yung mga ganun. But I tend to remember them because I usually immerse myself on the story.
Hmm.
Ganun ako manood. Kaya that's why whenever ano, na very legit yung daldal. Kaya nga hirap na hirap i-squeeze sa 1 hour episode or 1 episode kasi ang daming maraming pasakalye kasi madaming inputs.
Gusto ko yan. And I think because your current show is very parang outlined and organized, minsan masarap lang din yung to let go and have it very free
Paglaruan.
flowing. Correct. Ayan. Okay. I think that also makes you a great candidate to be a guest on the Shippers because dun sa mga times na nag-guest ako dun, hindi ko alam yung pangalan ng mga characters. Dinedescribe ko lang sila. Mahina ako sa names. So, God, if you're listening, eto na naman. May bago tayong alay.
Siya na yung taga-nominate ng pangalan ng mga tao, gano'n.
Correct.
Yung ba dumadaan dito and nominate somewhere.
Oo, ganyan yan. One happy family. Siyempre, tawid-tawid tayo.
Tawid-tawid, yes.
Okay, I have a second comment from someone from Twitter, and this is from user Jam. tita, parang need ko po ng part 3. Char. Pinakinggan ko siya habang nasa biyahe hanggang makarating sa dorm. Nakauwi na siya, kasama pa rin niya kayo. What do you say?
Ayan, kasi running joke na namin yon ni Tita Marian of Anyong Tita because like parang yun nga yung Maria Clarang parang trilogy na
Ah,
nasabi namin kapag mahal na araw papakinggan mo siya nasa terminal kapag baba mo nasa Pangasinan ka na.
ang
Kasi ganun
layo.
siya like ganun siya kahaba. Tapos ang kasi is, but thank you Jam for this feedback. Yes, because siya yung pag talaga na-enjoy ko yung topic, like parang minsan ang hirap ding pumreno, ang
Mm,
hirap magpigil ng emosyon kapag gusto ko yung topic. Yun yung very, very intense na parang minsan ba't parang may mga sinesend ako pag nagre-record ako mismo ng podcast ko. Tapos minsan kasi video ko. Tapos
mm,
send ko sa mga friends, sabi nila, ba't galit ka na naman? Kasi ang intense the way I talk about the topic that I'm very interested or I'm very invested in,
mm.
para akong galit na talagang yung passion. Either humahaba yung topic, like trilogy, or something na parang ang intense na parang nangaaway na ako.
Oh my gosh. Parang very Lord of the Rings nga talaga.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing all about your show. We also want to get to know the host behind the microphone. So, Ram, what do you do in real life? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, ang day job ko, I am an accountant here in UK.
Hmm.
Yes, and then sometimes I'm doing side hustles of baking. Since as you mentioned during the intro, I'm a foodie. Yes, I love eating. I love making foods, posting. I think kung makikita niyo sa Instagram ko, either I post about my podcast or I post about food. Yung mga ganon,
Oh.
ganon yung content. Hindi ko talaga Instagram yon.
And it's hindi na siya sa'yo. It's for
Hindi
your
na.
passions. I think it's interesting because usually accountants are very serious. They're not very talkative, right? But then
Yes.
you're a podcast host and
Di
you're
ba?
supposed to be more talkative. So I heard that when people meet you for the first time, ibang-iba yung impression nila sa'yo. What impression do they usually have of you when they first meet you?
Like they usually say na parang akala daw nila masungit ako. No, parang like, I mean kasi like, syempre, like, minsan yung syempre, ang hirap naman ngitian ka agad, di ba? Yung parang syempre, casual, first meeting. Hindi ka naman parang
Playing it cool muna,
party
ganyan.
agad, parang ganun. Hindi naman parang ganun. So parang syempre, introduce, parang ganun lang. Pero pag naging comfortable, and then like, very, yung parang nakapalagayan na ng loob, like we can talk anything for the entire day
Oh.
probably for that, like di mo expect like even something so so walang kwenta, parang ganun kasi pag-usapan parang ganun siya na parang very opposite, like parang if you just see me like for the first time probably, especially at work, like parang ang super serious ko, like
Mm.
nakakunot yung noo, um, RB face. So parang parang super serious. Pero pag like if you know me, like if you know me and if you receive the memes that I'm sending sa mga messenger, definitely. Kasi
So, would you say na tahimik ka lang sa umpisa?
pwede. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way. Like
Yung kanta ba yun, Neil? Kantahin mo nga.
Hindi niyo naman sinabi si Tony Fowler pala guest ko ngayon. No, but
Pasok,
that's
Tony. Charot.
that's super interesting, Ram, kasi parang there's so many facets to you. Just in the last 20 minutes that we've been talking, we've uncovered accountant Ram and like mental self-health Ram, and then now we also have yung chikahan and K-drama and all that stuff. So it's interesting. There are so many dimensions to you that we'd love to get to know. And being a podcaster is just one of those things. Now, as a podcaster, I'm sure that you listen to your fair share of podcasts then. So without preparing, we have a segment today called Spotify Review.
woo,
Sayaw. Okay, so without preparing, we're gonna ask for you to open your Spotify app
woo.
and tell us the last 3 shows that you listened to.
Parang Ano ba ang mga ano natatawa? Okay, okay. So first is Debak Show with Eric Nam.
Okay. So this is Debak Show. Sana tama yung pag-pronounce ko. With Eric Nam, K-pop to, right?
Yes, yes.
Tell us a little bit about that show. Why do you like it?
I like it because I'm very no fan of Korea itself, K-pop.
Mm.
Like literally parang feeling nila ayan isa pa to may isa-segue ko siguro yung like yung sa work na parang very serious pero yung may headset kasi ako whole day yung nagra-run ng K-pop songs. So like very
Ayun.
kaya pala nakakunot siya kasi nire-recall niya yung lyrics.
Okay.
Nagra-rap siya sa utak niya. Nagra-rap siya sa utak niya.
Mukha lang siyang seryoso pero nakikinig na siya ng
Rapper pala siya.
rapper, Korean rap. Gusto ko yan. Okay. So
Yun,
first
yun.
show is Dayback Show with Eric Nam. What's your
Yes.
second show?
Second show. I think for this one, I have a lot of um ano ba yun? Fan ako ng ano ng true crime din eh, 'di ba? Parang napakalayo din
Mm.
nung K-pop, like very colorful K-pop, and then I'm fan of true crime podcasts
Mm.
din.
What's your favorite true crime show?
Isa sa paborito ko talaga is Lagim podcast.
Ooh, nice choice. What makes Lagim special?
Ano siya, una, they featured yung mga old cases in 90s. Very interested kasi like kakapanganak ko lang noon nung 90s. So wala
Mm.
akong alam pero parang may mga vivid memories kasi ako like yung nababalitaan ko yung mga cases ni ano no ganito nung hearing ng ganitong case noong like 5 years old ako. So naaalala ko siya pero hindi ko siya at natatakot ako noon nung bata ako. Kasi parang like
Totoo.
syempre crime yon. Tapos ngayong matanda na ako, may Soko na kasi, 'di ba? Parang inintroduce ng Soko ni Gas Abelgas. Tapos may forensic files ka na napapanood. Na interested na ako doon. Tapos ngayon para mas nalalaman ko yung ibang cases. I mean, it's not about the being sensationalized. And like for me, utmost respect to all those people affected by those cases ha. It's not I'm not listening it for entertainment but it's something that to learn. Yun yung ano
True.
ko dun, na parang it's more of the curiosity in
And
listening those shows.
especially nung bago siya, like season 1, they really covered the ones that were so huge in the 90s, like yung
Yes.
Visconde Massacre, yung kay Mayor what's his name?
Yes.
Yung sa UP Los Baños, 'di ba?
Mm.
So very interesting things that we were too scared to find out when we were
Yes,
kids.
yes.
Pero
So,
ngayon na we're
kaya
older,
yun
pwede
din. Sa
na.
parang kasi may vivid memories ako nung bata ako na napapanood ko yun. Tapos di ba marami noon nung 90s ginagawang movies. So
Mga Carlo
parang
J. Caparas,
ano na
ganyan.
parang na-curious na lang din ako kaya kinig-kinig din ako nung mga yon.
I love it. Okay, so that's show number 2. What's show number 3?
Number 3 is Cripsilog.
Ooh, a bunk show. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. Of course,
Tell us
yes.
about Creepsilog.
Yun yung mga ano, kasi yun yung ano, gusto ko din siya kasi 'di ba like yung intro pa lang, Cripsilog.
Oh.
Oh, 'di ba nakikinig talaga ako. Kasi ayun ano din siya, parang ginagawa ko siyang pinapakinggan ko siya during the day and then kasi 'di ba meron silang mix ng mga like real crimes and then the stories na ano na parang yung kinukuwento
Mga
nila. So yun na parang
listeners.
yes, very very ano siya, very interesting kasi very diverse or very different siya dun sa usual na content na ano siya parang sabi ko nga tinitake ko yun sa hapon kasi pag morning mga productivity podcast, K-pop podcast tayo ng umaga. Tapos hapon yung mga true crimes. It's like the afternoon slot.
Gusto ko yan. Ito yung
Yun.
drama-rama mo sa hapon.
Hapon.
Okay. So, Dayback Show, Lagim, and Creepsilog, these are not the choices that I thought you would be making as someone who does a self-help podcast. But it makes you even more interesting. Your interests and your passions, they can be two different things, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I have one last thing before we end. And are you ready to take the Eto o Eto challenge?
Okay.
Ayan. So, this is the Eto o Eto challenge. You will have 30 seconds to answer as many questions as you can. And so far, Dustin of the Kingdom podcast holds the most number of questions answered. So, his record is 12. So, we're going to try to break
Wow.
that record today. Are you ready?
Hmm. Yes.
Ayan. So, this is your timer, and you don't need to explain. You really just have to
Okay,
answer the
okay.
questions. All right, here we go. Let's start. Kayo mag-start. Let's start. Kakain o matutulog?
Kakain.
Eat Bulaga or It's Showtime?
Itbulaga.
Sa inuman, susuka or susuko?
Wala.
Sa pag-ibig, be happy or be right?
Be right.
Sa trabaho, bibo kid or dead kids?
Depende sa trabaho.
Sa podcast, truthful or entertaining?
Truthful.
Day or night? Yun na yung last.
Day.
Day. Medyo natigil. Okay, so that was, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions. Unfortunately, hindi mo na break yung record ni Dustin. But, it was fun to get to know you. Natigilan ka dun sa inuman, susuka or susuko. You said neither. You don't drink so much.
Hindi kasi ako sumusuka. At hindi rin ako
Kayang-kaya mo siya.
sumusuka.
So,
Kaya
alam
Ganun
sabi
mo
ko,
pala
so,
ang
na.
wala.
strong. Ang strong naman pala ni Ram.
Strong si Ram. Thank you to the voice of God for making Ram very strong sa kanyang pag-inom. Okay. Well, I'm sure our listeners who got to know you in this episode, Ram, would love to listen to your show. So before we go, can you tell us where our viewers and listeners can find the Millennial Mindshift podcast?
Okay, so Millennial Mindshift podcast is available on Spotify and on other podcast platforms sa inyong paboritong suking tindahan. And you can follow me on Instagram with my social media accounts at Mindshift Podcast sa Instagram. And you can follow me as well on Instagram. Here's my handle, Ram 123. Apat na Ram yon and 123.
Very unique Instagram handle. So, thank you, Ram, for signing the Bunk Book this week. This has been Neil with Ram for Bunk Book, a Bunk original show. Please follow Bunk's socials. We are at the Bunk PH on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And let us know which Bunk host you'd like to sign the Bunk Book next by using hashtag Bunk Book. And join us next time when we get to know the podcaster behind your favorite shows here on Bunk Book.